Hi everybody, welcome back to Art Time Today. I'm Cheryl Smith and I will be your art teacher. We're going to have a fun one today. This is called stuffed fish. We don't need a recipe. You're not going to eat it, but it's something that you're going to have. You can play with it or hang it up in your room, and it's a lot of fun to do. So you can see this guy over my shoulder where he's a little bit puffy. That's what we're going to do. We're going to create a fish and stuff him full of newspaper, and then we're going to hang him up. So perfect project for a day while we're all home. So let's get started. First of all, whenever you're going to do an art project, you need an idea. You have a thought. I want to make that. How do you do that? How do you start from an idea and how do you get to what's finished? Well, there's steps that you have to go through. And because this is coming from your imagination, you can decide on the steps to get from your brain to your finished piece of artwork. I do that a lot in my own artwork. I come up with an idea of how I want it to look when it's all done, but then I have to figure out how do I get from my brain to the finished piece of art. That's called the process. How do you get from your brain to the end? Well, you get ideas. And a lot of times the best ideas come from books or nature or the internet. You can always Google search a lot of different things and get images and pictures and get some great ideas. So today, while I'm doing my research for the stuffed fish project, I needed to find some books about fish. So I did. I started digging around my bookshelves and I found this great big book. I love these little books. The photography in them is absolutely amazing. And there's just a little bit of blurb about what this animal is and where he lives and a little information about him. So you get a little bit of science to go along with the beautiful, beautiful photography. So check out some books you might have on your bookshelf, but also check out the internet. You may decide that you don't want to do a stuffed fish at all. Maybe you love mammals or bugs or butterflies and you'd prefer to do that. That's fine because it's your own imagination, it's your own artwork. But I'm going to stick with my fish today and get my ideas from my books that I have around me. So what I want to show you is the colors and the shapes, of course, too. So this is a fish that lives in Egypt. This one is called a checkerboard wrasse, and you can tell he's beautiful. Do you know why they have the special colors all over them? Do you know why all these different fish have different colors and scales? Wow, look at these, Mr. Fred. Can you get both of those in there? Those are interesting fish. This guy looks like he has plants growing out of his head. And this one has polka dots all over him. Do you know why they're all different? It has to do with where they live and the habitat that they're in. Oh, that's a big mouth. Looks like he has real human teeth. And look at that one. That's shaped differently too. So, and I had a couple more back here I wanted to show you. These guys are very, very cool because of the colors. They have all kinds of colors that you can use. But why? Why do they have the different colors? What's that called when the animal kind of takes on the characteristics of their surroundings? They're trying to hide. What's it called? Camouflage. They camouflage themselves under the water so their predators cannot see them. I also found this book. This is a book. It's called The First Big Book of the Ocean. It's a National Geographic kids book, always a great resource. And on the cover, one of my very favorite fish It's called the clownfish. Have you seen the movies about the very cool clownfish? I know you have, but those are beautiful pictures too. Watch the movie and get some ideas. Pretty interesting. But I wanted to show you this because you might want to do a dolphin shape. That's always fun. So use your books, use the internet, do some research, and then let's get started. You're going to need today construction paper, 2 pieces of the same size. Whether you use this size or you use a bigger size, this size works. White is fine. Any color is okay, and you don't have to have 2 that are the same. You can have 2 different colors if you'd like. That is perfectly okay, but you need 2 that are the same size. You're going to need markers and scissors, and it's always good to have a pencil around. You don't really need glue unless you don't have a stapler. If you have a stapler, have your grown-ups go see if they can find your stapler and let them do the stapling, unless you're old enough and you're able to staple around the edges of your fish when we're all finished. You're also going to need some newspaper or that junk mail that you can tear up. Make sure you have permission. Don't just start tearing up the mail. And you'll be able to tear up your pieces of newspaper to stuff this fish. Boop, 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 so he's nice and fat and puffy. So, with all that said, we need to draw a fish. So I'm going to start out and draw a fish. I've got a couple of good ideas on the best way to show you how. So I'm going to stick this guy up here. Now I've got my 2 papers together right now. That's not necessary. You can just be using one. We don't need the second one quite yet. So I'm going to start out, and one of my tricks to making a fish was a rainbow line and a smile line, and they don't touch at the end. So I want my fish to be as big as this paper is. So I'm going to start way near the edge, and I'm going to draw a rainbow. And I'm going to draw below that, not touching, a smile. Don't touch on the ends. Rainbow, smile. One end will be the tail. And you can see here I have a couple of different examples of fish. And you can see the tail, the way the tail comes. That one's fancy. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And you'll have a nice little tail. So what we do for the tail is you'll make a line that heads up to the corner. I've got a tack in the way here. Boop. It'll head right up to the corner, and then from the smile line, you'll do it down to the other corner. And then to connect the tail, you can do a wavy line or a straight line, doesn't matter. This is the mouth side. Do you want teeth? Do you want sharp, pokey teeth like fangs? Or do you want no teeth at all? It's easier for me for what I'm going to be doing, so I'm just going to make this little backward C here to make it like there's no teeth at all. If you want a little tooth hanging down, you can always put a couple little teeth in there if you want to. It's up to you. Now, fish also have fins. They have fins at the top and fins at the bottom. A dorsal fin is the one on the top. They have fins on the side to help them. You know, just like when I was telling you about birds, and the birds need the tail so they don't go nosedive. Fish need the fins on the side to help them maintain through the water. But every different fish has different kind of fins. So do your research and find out how you want it to look. So let's draw. I'm going to do a fin on the top. I'm going to run into my thing here and do a little fin on the top. Now, I don't have a lot of room down here, but I can put a little fin down here and maybe another extra one in the back. I can put the eye. Remember, I'm only seeing one side of the fish at a time. So I only need one eye. The other eye's on the other side. And I'm going to put a fin on the side. This guy, I kind of made him abstract. So I'm going to start out with a little curved line, and then I'm going to make a line that heads up to the corner here, a line that heads to the corner here, and then a little wavy line in between. So that's my basic shape of the fish. Once you get that much done, you're going to cut him out. Make sure you're using scissors appropriate for your age, and we'll get this guy all cut out. Now I'm going to just start cutting this, then I'm going to shift to one that I've already partly cut. So you're going to cut all the way around the outside of everything. Don't cut off the fins. I've had so many kids, they want to follow their lines straight around, and their fins are cut off and heading for the trash. So make sure you go up and around each fin very carefully as you're cutting. So cut with the 2 pages together. Hey, I've got a trick for you too. If you've got a grown-up around and they can staple, they can put a staple on the top and a staple on the bottom, not into your fish yet, but on the outside. It helps hold the paper from slipping. So that's a good idea to drop a couple of staples there when you start cutting out. So cut out your whole fish, snap that one up, and when you're finished, you'll end up with your fish. You're going to want to add lines to it to decorate it, and I've got a very important part of how to decorate it. I've decorated this one the way I like him. I'm going to do the other side as close to the same as I can, because I kind of like the symmetry of it. I like it the same on both sides. But if you want to have a happy guy here and a sad guy here, you can do that. If you want a sweet, sweet little fishy over here and a mean old one over here, you can do that too. So you can make them different, even if you use different colors of paper. You can put polka dots on one and stripes on the other. It's up to you. So, when you notice how they're colored, they are facing each other. I color this side of this one and this side of this one. If the fish are swimming together when you're coloring them and they're facing the same direction when they're swimming along, one of them, when you put it together, all your decorations are going to be on the inside. So make sure when you color them, you lay them down so they're either nose to nose, or, I did this upside down, let me do this right. What? I'm doing this backwards. Tail to tail, okay? Nose to nose or tail to tail. If you do them the same, one of them isn't going to work right. So make sure you do that the best you can. So color them, make them beautiful, add your details just the way you want them. I'm going to put just one little bit on this one. I'm going to make my fish scales. Can you see that, or am I better? I'm better off up on my wall probably to do a couple of little lines for you. But do your fish scales if you want to. This looks like the letter C, and you can overlap them. Hit the big bump to the big bump. And you can do that all across your fish. Next step, stapling. So the way you're going to staple it is you're going to staple around the fish part. You don't have to staple the fins. The fins aren't typically puffy. So when you staple it, you're going to leave the mouth area open because we have to stuff it from some end, and the mouth usually is the best. So we're going to staple around the fish. You don't need to put staples touching each other. Every 3 or 4 inches is fine. I'm going to do mine down here. Make sure, Mr. Fred, they can focus on this so they can kind of see. So I'm going to do a staple. I'm not doing into the fin. You can if you want. And I'm going to staple, maybe 3 or 4 staples there. I'll staple my tail together and put one in the middle. Put one down here. Looks like I didn't line this up perfectly, but... And then I'm going to come around the bottom and put maybe 3 staples in here. But I need enough room to stuff it. So he's all stuffed and he'll be all kind of fun. So this is when the newspaper comes in. You're going to be taking some newspaper and tearing it. You only need one piece. You don't need to tear up the entire newspaper. You just need one piece. So I'm tearing from the folded edge, and I'm going to tear down. It makes a nice straight tear. If when you're tearing your newspaper, it's coming out all wonky, it's because you're not tearing it from the right side. If you make a tear and it's all wiggly wobbly, turn the paper and try from the other edge. So I'm going to tear it up, not too skinny of pieces. A couple inches wide is fine. This is perfectly great. This piece that didn't come out very well, I'm going to tear up into a couple of pieces. That's fine too. So now when you stuff it, I take 1 or 2 pieces and I do a kind of a light crunch on it. And then I'm going to stuff it in the back, or nope, I'm stuffing it in his mouth, just like he's having dinner. Feed him some newspaper. And just stuff it in there the best you can. I'm not going to waste all your time doing that, but stuff it in. You don't want it super heavy, and you don't want it like coming out at the seams, but 1 or 2 pieces of that newspaper will be plenty. So stuff it in. Once you get it all stuffed the way you want it to be, then you're going to staple up the edge and staple up his mouth. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stuff this in there. Stuff it in. Oh, it keeps coming out. Get in there. And I'm going to hold that in, and I'm going to put a couple of more staples in here. Here's a staple here. I'll do one up here by his mouth. Oh, look, it's trying to come out. Just give it a poke. Poke it in there. And then I'm going to do 1 staple across his mouth, just like that. So there's my little stuffed fish. I like to poke a hole in it with a hole punch, or you can have a grown-up, but you could poke a little scissor hole in it, just a little scissor hole, and slide a string through there, and you can hang it. You can make a whole bunch of them and have a whole school of fish swimming across your bedroom. Ah, that'd be awesome. You can make them long strings and short strings. Have fun with it. This is kind of a fun little thing to do, and I hope you had fun. I love fish, and I had a blast. So I hope to see you next time on Art Time Today. I'm trying to come up with some great ideas for you. Stay tuned. Make sure you like it and share it and even subscribe and have a blast with your friends doing Art Time Today. So like I always say, remember, make time for Art Time Today. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.